Hi everybody, this is Palace of Forest. I'm Old June. Today we are talking about the China White, China Girl, Fentanyl. When I first saw this name decades ago, I thought it was a beautiful actress name. But later I found out it's actually the name for the drug, fentanyl. These days, it's even nicknamed China White or China Girl, which makes people roll their eyes. Last year, we made a program called Opium War 2.0, where we also talk about the fentanyl. When older Chinese people hear the words drugs, opium, morphine, or white powder, they feel afraid and speechless. As kids, we read about the shame of the Opium War in history books. It left a deep mark. Back then, the only blamed the Qing dynasty for being corrupt and weak. But we should note, even it had been the Ming dynasty or any Han Chinese race dynasty, they still would lost to the strong British Navy and the cannons in the 18th century. The Qing dynasty just happened to be in power when it happened. China had shut itself off from the outside world. By the 1700s, the idea of China being a powerful empire was already outdated, but people didn't realize it. So, when foreign powers came knocking, China collapsed quickly. The sad thing is, the weapon used to break open China's doors was opium. The war was China's deep pain. Now, a trade war between China and the US is happening. Recently, Trump announced a change. At first, he wanted a 145% tariff, but then it dropped to 10%. However, because of the fentanyl issue, he raised it by 20%, making it 30% to China. This is still not final. Trump mentioned that every year, tens of thousands of Americans die from drug overdoses. More than died in the Vietnam War, and now even more than from gun violence. The US has only about 4 to 5% of the world population, but used 80% of the world fentanyl. That's shocking. There's even a term, living zombies. What's going on? In the past, American doctors focused a lot on pain relief. Around 1996, painkillers were made to last up to 12 hours. Later, they added drugs similar to opium, which became more and more powerful. In the end, it got out of control. The abuse of painkillers led to a major drug crisis in the US. Looking back, China had a serious opium problem in 1840s, and then 180 years later, the US is suffering the same fate. It's like karma, a big irony. Chinese is now the main supplier of fentanyl. When I was a kid in Taiwan, the news would report big stories when drug dealers were caught. Would wonder, are those people crazy? Why would they take drugs? But humans have always had a deep problem with abusing drugs. In ancient China, royal doctors serving emperors often misused medicine. I suspect that many Chinese emperors were basically drug abusers. Even among regular people, drug abuse was common. Back then, there were no proper drug laws. The widespread use of opium in the late Qing dynasty and early republic period is a good example. Fentanyl is completely made in lab. It has nothing to do with the natural plants. It might even be more harmful to the body. That's why parents, teachers, governments, and the law enforcement must do something they can to stop drug abuse. Today we stopped here. I hope you like it. See you next time.